I'm going to give you all the reasons that you can't seem to escape these chronic illness symptoms. There's got to be some way to get out of this chronic illness, right? But I'm going to give you all the tips as to what you need to do to actually escape it once for all. And I'm going to give you a warning. These are going to be things that force you to make changes. They're not all going to be supplement driven and based upon something external. You're going to be having to do a lot of work yourself if you want to heal. So either swipe the video, get rid of it, or listen here. So what's the number one thing you want to do if you want to get better and get over this once and for all? Well, you want to really cut down on the supplements, first of all, okay? Cut down on the supplements. Everybody's talking about, oh, I need 15,000 supplements. I need to take 10 different supplements. I got to take this for detox, this for MTHFR, this for my gut, blah, blah, blah. Start with 0 supplements, nothing, okay? Focus 100% on the diet only, okay? And go through an elimination diet process. First, start off eating fruits, vegetables, rice, potatoes, beans, lentils, oils, salt. Beans and lentils, make sure they work with you. If you have a SIBO situation, they might not digest properly, but if not, you should be fine. Start off with those foods. If you can't have too many carbohydrates, focus more on the vegetables, focus more on the complex carbohydrates, less on the fruits, less on the white potatoes, the white rice, things like that. So once again, fruits, vegetables, rice, potatoes, oil, salt, beans, lentils, even tofu, okay? You could start there. You could start adding, 2 weeks into it, add a couple pieces of chicken in, or add a little piece of chicken, like 3 ounces of chicken. See how you do with meat, okay? Start that every other day, or start that for a few days in a row. See if you feel any different. Increase the amount of meat over the course of a few days. Now, it doesn't mean start meat again if you feel well, but it does mean that, you got to pay attention, and you got to start figuring out how each individual food that you add back in affects you. Meat may work fine, eggs may not, dairy may not, seeds may not, whatever it is, but you got to try one food at a time, You got to be patient with yourself, all right? Be patient. Try one food every 3 days. If the food works, add it back into your rotation, but you don't want to add any of these foods that aren't on the initial elimination list. You do not want any of these foods back in every day. You don't want to be eating meat every day, eggs every day, dairy every day. You want to start to have a rotation with those foods. The next thing you want to do, okay, we'll go back to the supplements. If you are going to use supplements, okay, it's going to be the last thing that you're going to do on this list. Everybody wants to know about the supplements, so I'm going to keep telling you. I'm going to tell you the supplements at the end, but it's going to be the last thing you're going to do, because the first thing you're going to do, number one, is going to be diet, okay? Next thing you're going to do is you're going to do deep breathing, you're going to do meditation, you're going to do visualization, your body healing. You're going to close your eyes, you're going to do breathing through the nostrils all the way in. You're going to breathe all the way out. You're going to exhale. You're going to imagine stress leaving your body. You're going to imagine your body healing visually in your mind. You're going to do that 20 minutes, twice a day. Okay, you're eventually going to get up to 20 minutes 3 times a day. When you get into that zone and you're doing that, 15, 20 minutes into it, you start feeling completely like you've lost all your touch with all your symptoms. Your mind is completely focused in, you're relaxed, you're free, you're completely free of the symptoms. So focus on the deep breathing, focus on the meditation, get some self-care activities in. Go ahead and go on some walks, do some stretching. Buy into the realization that you're going to heal. This is one of the most important parts. If you do not realize that you're going to heal, it's inevitable that you're going to heal, okay? And that you're willing to do anything, you're willing to make any changes possible to heal, then you're not going to get better, all right? So buy into it. Know it's a fact. Know you're already going to get better. Know that making all these changes is going to be worthwhile. So you have now changed your diet, okay? You've stuck with it for a few weeks on the elimination diet. You started adding foods back in. You saw how you react to those foods. You then went ahead and started doing your nervous system retraining. You started doing the deep breathing, the meditation, the visualization. You started doing the self-care activities, okay? Now what do we do? We see what the environmental triggers are. We go ahead and see, do we have an issue with mycotoxins in our environment? Do we have an issue in our home presently, okay? So we can either test our home through an ERMI test, an EMA test, an ERMI or an EMMA test, or you could test yourself through a mycotoxin antibody test from mycotoxins.com, or you could test yourself through a urine test, okay? But you got to do both if you want to really get a conclusive answer, okay? But the mycotoxins test is the number one out of the 2 of those that I would do first, though. The urine test is Vibrant Wellness. That would be the one be ideal for the urine test. So you look at these, you see if you got mycotoxin issues. If you do, this could be the main root cause of all these crazy symptoms you've been having. This is what I've seen in plenty of cases in myself, in my daughter, in plenty of my clients. So it's either what we're consuming, what we're inhaling, or what we're thinking that are causing these issues, okay? So these are the main things. Now, what do we do with our supplements, okay? We go ahead and look at supplements only as a way to nudge the body into healing itself already. We don't have to try to kill anything right now. We want to just simply restore key nutrients first, okay? We want to restore things like magnesium, zinc, trace minerals, selenium, okay? We want to get those all from plant-based sources. The magnesium we can get from nature's answer called marine-based magnesium. The selenium is from triquetra, Okay, the zinc is from triquetra. You know, the trace minerals are called C minerals from Swanson vitamins. Those would be the main ones to start off with, okay? Main ones to start off with. Then you go ahead and move into the prebiotics. You move into the prebiotics, do things like acacia, arabinogalactin, you know, apple pectin, things like that to start building the good bacteria as you're supporting them with your food. You also want to support them with what you're doing. And then you want to see where your body's at, because the whole goal behind healing is calming your mast cells down. It's not about killing anything. It's about getting your body out of a place where it's being irritated about what we're consuming, inhaling, and doing, okay? You know, consuming, inhaling, doing, and thinking. Those are all the angles you want to cover when you're looking at your mast cells. And then the last thing is, you know, there's plenty more supplements. There's things like colostrum. There's other things like, you know, beta-glucans, other things that are immune stimulants if you're trying to actually get rid of microbes in your body. And I know plenty about that. So reach out to me if you have questions about that. But I want to cover like an A to Z, you know, how I would approach it with these situations, what you're really missing when you're dealing with these chronic illness symptoms, why you're stuck in that chronic loop over and over with these symptoms for years and years. I was stuck in it for over 7-8 years before I made any progress. I didn't realize that the main causes were imbalance in regulatory T cells and overactive mast cells. That was the main causes of your chronic illness. So once I started to switch my focus and started to try to calm down the mast cells and boost the regulatory T cells, guess what? Bam, healed within a matter of months when it took over a decade prior. So thanks for watching. Go to my website, endsickness.org. I got hundreds of articles, hundreds of videos on there teaching you how to heal yourself. Take care.